Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. Uh, my name is Jim Hogan, and I'm going to be moderating today's talk with the three cast members from As We See It. And when I'm not doing amazing talks like this, I am the Vice President of Accessibility and Technology for Google's Disability Alliance, who is sponsoring this event. And, so let's just start to get to some introductions. So, uh, now you know who I am. So let's start with you, Sue Ann. Why don't you tell us who you are and tell us a little about who you play on the show?
Okay. Hi, I am Sue Ann Pien, and I play Violet on As We See It.
Good.
And Rick, how about you? Who do you play on the show?
Thanks, Jim. And it's good to see you again, Albert and Sue. My name is Rick Glassman, and I play Jack on the show As We See It.
And Albert, tell us a little bit about who you play on the show.
Hi, I'm Albert Rutecki. I play Harrison. Do you want me to describe the character?
A little bit, yeah. That could be cool.
Oh.
He's a little goofy, really sweet, but just he kind of forces himself inside like a shell, and you see him start to like come out of that suit over the course of the season.
And I have to say that I love all three characters equally. I know the characters aren't my creation or anything, but I do love all your characters equally. So
thank you.
So that's a little bit about the characters. And if you haven't seen this show yet, I have to tell you that this show is amazing, and I had quite an emotional reaction to it. So when I heard about it, my wife and I sat down to watch it, and it was pretty much we both looked at each other and we were just like crying. It had a huge emotional reaction on me because being autistic, I connected with it on so many levels. So and I just remember one time with my parents arguing at the kitchen table when I was a little kid, and my mom telling my dad, Dan, he's just not normal. And I basically heard my dad come back and say, who are you to define what normal is? Mm-hmm. And so, Sue Ann, when you were talking about Violet's character wanting to be normal, it really, hit me in the heart. And so how did you channel that so well?
Well, yeah, you kind of you hit that on the nail, because I had very similar experiences growing up, and I remember overhearing my mom speak to my aunt, and she was like, there's something wrong with her. There's something wrong with Sue Ann. And so from a young age, my mom would teach me how to hide my differences and act, very, very young. Everything was put on as a performance through, sitting at the table, how to speak, look me in the eye and smile. So there was a real sense of rejection anytime, and a fear around my differences and my autistic, mannerisms. And I was bullied as well as a kid. And so that just reinforced that there's something wrong with me. And the need to hide that. And it was amazing to be able to channel that into Violet's experiences and wants and needs.
And I love the performances so much because I can kind of tell that it's coming from things that were experienced. So, and Rick, I just have to say, I am a software guy, so I work for Google, and
nice.
And the scene with Jack defending the code, I basically call that a squirm-worthy conference room event, and I have been the star of those many, many times. And I think there's probably multiple times my wife will crack up that I actually called people idiot out loud. So how did you come up with that? And because you had such a genuine portrayal of that, and I just was wondering where did that come from?
Well, to answer you literally, it came from Jason Katims and the writers. But where I connected to it was that's not exactly who I am. But I was diagnosed with autism 5 years ago, and one of the awarenesses I stepped into was that people receive me differently than my intentions, and I never really knew that. And being mean is the way people could receive something when your intention is just to be efficient and direct. I do think Jack is a bit aggressive with those things, and I don't think it's the other person's fault necessarily. But having the idea of, I'm saying this because of this goal, the goal being making the project right, making the code right, getting the thing that's the best, and not having a goal of people being comfortable and people feeling safe and people feeling valued. And if you kind of remove the idea of those things mattering, it's very easy to just be as direct as possible no matter what. So I guess basically having like a hyper focus on one thing doesn't really allow to have the breadth to kind of take in how other people might feel about this. So that's what I connected to.
And software was your baby, so.
Well, I do a podcast. That's why I have this delicious microphone here. But I do kind of obsess over that sometimes. I do 40 hours of editing each week for each episode, and I do think of that as the baby sometimes. So like if things get in the way, I could get very hyper focused on the podcast. So I do connect with that strongly. Sue-Ann, give me one of these again.
So Albert, I've watched a few of the talks that you've given so far, and I just wanted to comment on the fact that like one of the things I work towards is try to find jobs for autistic individuals, and like even here at Google we have an autism career program, and we changed the way we interview people to account for neuro distinctions, and I basically acted as an internal activist to make sure that everybody gets a fair shake. But 80% of college-educated autistic individuals are unemployed. And then the really sad part is that when they do enter corporate America, 70% of them report that they were brutally bullied. So I noticed that when you're in your portrayal, but also in the way that you describe this opportunity, you've not only just like found a job, you really found belonging with these folks. So how does that make you feel?
Happy, thankful. Just messed my hair up. Yeah, and I'm definitely a little more confident now. I was trying to find a job for a while after I graduated. It's thinking, will I be able to work? Well, could I support myself? This is definitely a step in the right direction for me.
And I know it's been like a real life changer for you. So that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because
I was one of those people that was unemployed, even post college. And so when I heard Jason naming that statistic about one of the things that like drove him to make this, I was like, you gave me a job now. Like you're helping.
And you have amazing coworkers. So
they are. No real divas.
So I just wanted to, switch gears and unless you want to say something else, Albert, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just switched away from the video for a second there.
It's fine.
And so Sue-Ann, here at Google, we actually have, one of my partners in crime in our autistics community, formed a community here at Google for marginalized genders who are autistic. And so I wanted to ask you the question about, how do you feel that, marginalized genders are what challenges are that you're facing that are greater when it comes to like disclosing and talking about being autistic? Does that make sense? I could
yeah, I think so. It's funny because I actually had worked in a tech company before. I have the brain for, very detailed.
Show off.
I was the first female hired full time at a startup. It's incredible. So, and it was actually very comfortable. I'm very comfortable about, because I think my brain is just, it's different. And it's actually around other women that it could get hairy because there's so much more. Like, I love the way when, like coders are just so much more direct. Like my father, he was an aerospace engineer, and we just get along so easily. And he's just like Jack and you. He'll be like, that idiot. He's like, he's very like, he's not making a lot of allies there. But yeah, we were always like, what would it be like if Jack went on to have kids? That would be a very, very cool scenario. Like, just watch autistic people grow old. But I totally forgot the question. It was
Gender.
Marginalized, right? Gender. Thank you, Rick. Can you help me out, Rick?
Yeah, I'm sorry. She's being such a woman right now.
Yeah, what's going on, right? Just worrying about my makeup.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, wait,
God.
No, we're kidding.
So no, as a female of color, obviously, and women mask a lot, we camouflage, and if I don't say anything, like if I just disappeared into the background, you wouldn't notice anything strange or different about me. And that's what I did as a kid, right? Like I would observe and see what's going on, and then I would mimic and camouflage until I could fit in. So that's the one thing why women are missed. And you're reading and finding out, oh my God, like girls, there are autistic girls that are misdiagnosed, and we're constantly out, trying to fend for ourselves. And it's obvious usually because it's the girl that's like, when she does speak up, when she does try to interact, she sticks out like a sore thumb, right? And especially if you're like a woman of color, which I am. Did you guys know that?
Yes.
Just have to disclose today with you. So when you're a person of color, there's an added layer of stereotypical, like as a kid, my teachers were like, you're going to be really good at math. Come and teach all the kids math. And I couldn't get it. My brain does not work that way. I might have dyscalculia. I hated math, right? So, and I'm embarrassed. I'm sitting up there, but I was really good at other things. I was just not math. But that's a way of, stereotypical, like, an Asian person would be really great at math. And it's not the case. Asian people who are women and female aren't autistic. Not the case. So this show is amazing. It's groundbreaking. I think it's the first of its kind in so many ways. The most amount of autistic people in front of and behind the camera on a scripted show. And you're showing a woman of color who is on the autism spectrum, which has never been done before. Right, guys? Right?
It's true, groundbreaking, and it is so true. So it is right. Your coworkers should be giving you that golf clap. So
I find it to be a little patronizing, Jim. I'm going to be honest with you. If I were to do this, it would be. I appreciate, Sue-Ann, that you gave it to me, and I believed you. But this isn't what I do, and I don't want to feel obligated.
This better?
I'll do that.
And so, Rick, I have to say, like the finding the empathy to deal with life's challenges has just been, sometimes it's very hard for me. And for instance, my father got sick, in 2007, and I did exactly what your character did. I deeply researched. I was asking all the uncomfortable questions to doctors and things like that. And so I just that really hit home with me, and it was really difficult for me to watch how you portrayed your Tony's character's challenges. So I was wondering, how did you prepare to nail those scenes so well?
I don't know if I have a strong point of view on that question. How did I prepare specifically for the scenes where my character Jack had to deal with the father being sick? That's what you're asking, yeah?
Yes.
I mean, I've had thoughts of some stuff that are hard to think about, things that I don't necessarily avoid, but I definitely push around when it's not the right time. For example, any other scenes, I would not want to be thinking about those things. I mean, that's just kind of sense of memory stuff. Nothing too, I don't have anything too interesting about that. I just got sad about real stuff and then read the lines they told me to say. I would love to give you a more I'd love to earn my golf clap. But yeah, it's just getting to a place which Sue-Ann, both because just the way Violet was written, but also I saw her do a lot. I just remember there was a scene that we weren't even filming your scene yet, Sue Ann. You were probably 2 hours away, so like relax, but you were already just like getting yourself ready and just crying and getting, because you wanted to stay in that. For me, whether it's a silly energy, a sad energy, whatever it is, I mean, there are extenuating circumstances, but usually I got an hour and then I'm done. Anything I'm doing, leave me alone now. So you just get into this place where you're there the whole day. I just am gonna, we have a half hour before filming, and then I just think about something sad, like how Albert, unfortunately, because we only have one season, hasn't been able to afford enough pants, and he does all his Zooms without pants. Albert, stand up for a second. Show everybody.
I'm wearing shorts.
Okay, show us. Albert, for real, show us. Exactly. Albert is always naked from the waist down on Zooms. It's so weird.
Oh.
Show us then. Show us your shorts.
And so I'm going to move on to our rapid round of questions, and
okay.
And Albert, I didn't have this one in the thing for you to go next, but you are going next. So,
Okay.
So basically, what did you learn about yourself while shooting this show?
That I need to not take everything so seriously. Like my sister probably hears that and was like, "What? You goof up all the time," but like, no, I just like internal take things in and just overthink them to death a lot. And I just learned to let go with the flow a lot more, and try to trust my instincts.
And Sue Ann, how about you? What did you learn about yourself in this show?
Oh my gosh. It's been such a, like, I'm seeing what kind of, like, Violet for me in a lot of ways is this ideal version of, oh, this is how a different path I could have taken if I had different support or family or friends that were the autism it was so lonely, and isolating. So it's almost like there's a lot of things I'm learning about myself as I go through the show. That has been very healing. It's been very soothing to be surrounded not only by like amazing other autistic actors, because sometimes there's a shorthand that is just easier. It's like, it's like just so much more fun. You're just like, no one's gonna, it's not like, you're just similar. It's different. So I really love that. I love that sense of community, and I don't think I have that elsewhere in my life. And that's been really amazing to have.
And Rick, I don't have it in the run of panel, but you can answer that question too. What did you learn about yourself?
Well, if it's not in the run of panel,
let's break the rules. We're rule breakers.
Similar to what Sue Ann said, I didn't have many autistic. I had one autistic friend before the show, and now I have many. And seeing how different they all are, but also because of that, and everyone has their own rules and their own things and their own neuroses, and it doesn't matter what mine are, they're accepted. It doesn't matter what yours are, I get it. And just being around those people just is a really, really, really safe space to be. Whether you're intimidated about a scene you're doing or a show you're working on, or just having a day that is not the easiest day, it's easy to communicate that, and it's easy to be received the way you want to be received. And I really I'm feeling out of nowhere a little bit emotional here with this, but I really love you guys, and having people who experience things differently than the typical person knows what it's like to be misunderstood, and those are really nice friends to have.
Well, I feel all emotional. We just met, and I'm happy that you love me. So good.
I do love you, Jim. He, him, autistic.
See? And so I know when I got my job at Google, it was a huge deal for me. I basically coded, slid through a bunch of decades where I just never found my belonging, and then when I finally found that at Google. So Albert, what made this this project so special for you?
What made this so special for me? Well, it is a lead role on a TV show. That's pretty special in and of itself.
What role did you? I didn't know what you said.
A lead role in a TV show. And we've covered a lot of this terrain. It's definitely important to that it explores the lives of various autistic people. All the characters are very well written. But yeah, like selfishly, I suppose it was like the most important thing in a way for me is that I got a job, that I get to do what I love, and get to flesh the character out and hopefully do justice to the script.
And Rick, how about you? What made this project special for you?
We get a lot of messages. I know we all do. I'll just speak for myself because I don't, that's what I'm supposed to do. But we get messages from people that aren't specifically just about being entertained. It's how this show has affected them. I do stand up, and after shows now, and I'm a very silly boy on stage, and I'm doing very silly things. And after shows,
That's puppets.
Yes, spoiler alert. And after shows, people now are coming up. Some people are fans from As We See It and didn't necessarily know my stand-up yet, and I've just been very silly, and they're coming up to me and just it gets so emotional in this comedy line, and how they have autism or their child has autism, and how much this show mattered to them. And I thought that was a possibility. There are shows that I've watched that affect me on a very personal, emotional level. But to be part of this show that makes people feel seen and allows people to better understand how to see, it's just nice. It's nice to be part of something that matters to people more than just passing time, which, by the way, things that pass time matter and are important too. For real. I really started to appreciate that during the pandemic more, how much I don't know what I would do if I didn't have TV shows and movies. But that, and like what Albert said, get in the bag.
The personal connection just makes it sweeter.
Mm-hmm.
Sue-Ann,
Jim, may I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Sue-Ann, what is it for you that felt so special?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Rick. Wait. Hello?
Oh, was this not translating? Did you not hear what I was doing?
No, I did. I heard you.
Oh,
But I'll tell you right here, though. So, sometimes I don't even have the words anymore because, I don't think it feels like, oh, this is the whole reason for my life, my life's trajectory, why I went into acting, and then it was like, there were so many moments on set in the scenes playing Violet that, it was just bigger than myself. It was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize, like, it was like, it sounds so crazy, but there was like a power greater than myself, my life, coming to orchestrate everything. And then it made sense when on the show, playing the character. And that's how I've never been so, it's like probably the most important, special thing I've ever done in my life up until now, As We See It. And it like, it's from my heart and soul inside out. Anyway, help me out, Albert, please, guys.
Sue-Ann, you were answering great, and you finished your thought, and you felt like you had to do more. I've been there. Sometimes I'm speaking and I'll say and there was no and now I have to make something up.
Yeah, I love you.
So,
Both of my parents sometimes drop sentences too.
A tendency to overshare at play.
My father does that all the time. He says and then just stops.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's good. If you say and you didn't mean to, no, he messed up. He said and. Why fake it?
Yeah. The 2-sentence rule, I think it's good. Put it in the 2 sentences, leave it alone.
TSR.
TSR.
I always say the word so and walk out of the room, and I come back and my wife is staring at me and like, what? She's like, you said so. It's like, oh, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So. And so
I also love what my mom used to do. She'd like pause for like 15 seconds and then finish the sentence.
Isn't that because she always thought she had to sneeze?
No.
And so, Sue-Ann, we're gonna stick with you. And what was your favorite moment working together on this?
Oh my gosh.
Talk about my podcast.
Tyso? But
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
take your shoes off. Take your
Edit
shoes
this
off.
out.
No. Okay, no. So it was because I just saw it again in the trailer, guys. When that birthday cake smash, how fun was that? Because we only had 2 birthday cakes, right? And then like the first one, it like flew off. It was like a flying saucer, and it landed perfectly like straight. It didn't smash at all. And then it was like the second one was like perfect, right? And then it exploded, and people were like eating from the floors. It was like pandemonium. It was so great. So that was fun. Some of the physical stuff is really cool because it's things that you can't really get away with doing in real life. Like that's why Violet's so fun. Like all the things that like I really want to say or do that like now when you're an adult you're like, fuck, I can't say stuff like that. I can't do stuff like that even though I really want to. That guy's an idiot or whatever, right? Like
I want to see a blooper where we just see that cake that survived because that was wild. You got that all the way across the room and there's just like a little piece missing.
Rick has a video. It was like Instagram. I think Rick had that video. No,
of them cleaning up the cake he does, I think.
Oh yeah.
I take videos of people cleaning cakes. It's a weird thing, but it's what I do.
I've never been so envious of a scene in my life because I would have eaten the floor cake. So I would have done that.
Well, you would have had to fight Albert.
I didn't actually eat the floor cake.
You had floor cake on the next scene when you're eating the pizza, and you had some cake too.
It wasn't real floor cake though. I can name names to people who ate floor cake.
I think it was floor cake. We call Albert floor cake Albert.
What was your favorite moment outside floor cake, Albert?
Was that to me?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So great.
A toss up between like the stuff where we're all just in my bed, just like, oh, life sucks. Like those scenes were really fun to do. And also it was extremely difficult and stressful, but I also really liked my meltdown scene. Doing my meltdown scene in the final episode, I just knew I had to get that right. There are like a lot of steps that I had to walk through for that.
You were so good. You were amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. We were there on like live. It was incredible. Albert's such a fantastic actor. He's so great.
Everyone was really impressed with floor cake Albert.
Thank you. You guys are awesome too.
Which pair of Albert's shorts do you like most?
Jim, he's lying to you. He's not wearing anything. He doesn't wear anything. What, Albert? Watch, Albert. Stand up. Show us your shorts. He won't. He can't because he is floor cake Willie.
It's a family show. So, Rick, what was your favorite moment on the show?
Anytime that we were all there together, and I love like between scenes when we're all just waiting around and it's just all of us. There's a lot of heavy subject matter in this show, but also we were laughing a lot and we were always doing bits. I remember early on in the show, I say early on because we hadn't all yet necessarily connected the way we did later on, but there was a scene where Sosie's character Mandy, who plays our aide, is outside on the street. I know it's a family show, but I'm going to say it, smooching a boy, and the three of us plus Chris, who plays Violet's brother, were through the window watching.
They cut that scene.
And right, they did. They cut the wind of that scene because right before we started filming, I said to Chris as a joke, "Hey, fart during this next scene."
Oh my God.
And then there was like a serious moment, and we're supposed to be watching and making these reactions, and we all just met each other an hour ago, and Chris on command just lets out the biggest fart, and it's a family show, but we're autistic. We like fart comedy, and it's just so like, oh, you could do fart bits on the autism show. I'm in, baby. And we're just always doing stuff, and we have a good time. But at the end of the day, it's really about the families.
That was, I couldn't even finish that.
And oh yeah, and also it was such a setup because they're downstairs and there can't be any sound, so they're radio upping these people who's coming and walking over to these people saying we're starting in 5 seconds. So like this is actually a little disrespectful because we had to reset and it took like 10 minutes.
How did he do that? How did he fart on command? That was
It's Australian.
Right. I've been known to fart on command. It's
Ew.
Jim.
It's a skill.
Let's see it.
Jim.
Jim.
Let's hear it.
Jim.
Oh, I forgot Albert. Albert doesn't like that. Albert's like my Aunt Lauren. He doesn't like pedagogical humor. Albert doesn't like scat humor, but he'll be pantless during the interview.
I have shorts on.
I know you do. He has shorts. I'm just joking.
Well, I love doing these sessions because these sessions build awareness, and awareness will lead to acceptance, and acceptance leads to inclusion, and inclusion leads to that elusive sense of belonging that everybody deserves to feel. And I call it elusive is because not everybody's found it. So, because we're trying to build awareness, what would you say? And this is going to Rick. What's the one thing that you wish people would learn from the show? And I made a typo in the run of show, but it's okay.
Well, what I'd like people to take from the show is you meet these characters early on and you might be turned off by some of their traits. You might be attracted to them, but speaking to those that are turned off by them, because a lot of people will finish a show, you start to get to understand the character's intentions and who they are and why they are the way they are. And then those character traits become more attractive and you start to better understand it. In real life, people don't necessarily give themselves the opportunity to get to know somebody if the first impression turns them off a little bit. And what I want people to get from the show is to understand that the way you see people is just your perception of things. And you might be spot on, but you're probably missing some information. And to just better understand when you know something versus when you're filling in the blank and you think you know something. And it's okay to ask people questions. Are you wearing pants? What's that smell? Why are you talking so loud? What does that mean? What's your nationality? People are a little feel that questions are confrontational, and you're not going to understand somebody if you don't ask them questions.
And
real quick, this real quick, sorry. This talk is sponsored by IB Guard. I'm sorry I have to do this. Stomach aches, heartburn, indigestion. It's just peppermint oil. Pop yourself an IB Guard and have a better day.
And so, Sue-Ann, same question to you. Have you used IB Guard?
I have not used IB Guard, and sometimes I think I need to because I'll have gastrointestinal issues.
As many on the autism spectrum do.
Yeah, Rick, I know you do.
I'm okay. Albert, stand up.
What is even happening right now?
And so, Sue-Ann, what's the one thing you wish people would learn from the show?
Oh my God, definitely building on what Rick said. Because I mean, even, my dad, I remember like he would go and meet, a partner that I was dating and as a girlfriend, and she was offended by my dad. Like the first thing he did was go sit down and play video games with her son. And, in this like really, and it's just, he's different. He can be seen as childlike or naive in some ways, but he's like the sweetest man ever. He's like a mix between, Harrison and Jack in a lot of ways. And so not to, and how many times people have misconceptions. And I still think that word, for whatever reason, is used like it's like when someone thinks you're autistic, there's like this negative connotation around it. And I've seen this, like just even recently, people are like, autism, no, that's like, I'm not, there's no way. It's like this stout, and it's like, whoa. It's not a slur. And so I hope our show gets to put this out there for many people. Just, get open-minded, get nicer, because I think the world has been really hard for autistic people up until now.
And Albert, how about you? What's one thing you want people to learn from the show?
Aside from hoping they're entertained by it, I'm hoping they walk away just a little more mindful, a little more understanding. Because, yeah, it's been said throughout this, there are misconceptions about autism. Some people think it's like treated like it's a slur. Say you're autistic. It's like it's a part of a person, and everyone who's autistic, it is a little bit different. You just need not try to just change them. You need to understand them and help them and give them a platform to speak. Just assist if you can.
I enjoy the applause so much. And so I think that
She's holding up the IB card. Oh, what's IB card exactly?
Irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh my god!
I did find out about this on set of our show. It really is a magic pill. Seriously. And you don't have to have it consistent. There's heartburn, stomach aches. Don't try to lower your stomach acid. Long term, that's not good. Have yourself an IV guard.
And so I think that I have one more unscripted question because Albert loves those. So let's start with Rick, and if it's nothing, just say nothing. What have your parents done for you in your lives to make it better? So Rick,
nothing. How can I say nothing? I mean, how much time do you have? Always, no matter what obstacles I had or what little things I was going through, accepted me, listened, tried to understand me, loved me. I mean, what a question. I mean, everything. They're just, they, I guess the simple thing is accepted and loved me. I feel like I need to be more respectful of them and give a better answer, but we're running short on time, and Albert loves scripted questions. But I didn't have, you didn't have many friends growing up, and I never knew it. I always had a community at home.
and how about you, Sue Ann? We'll give Albert more time to prepare his answer.
Well, I mean, I think, I definitely had so many more challenges. And I think part of that is my mom felt the need to protect me, and I didn't understand that's what she was doing. For my dad, ironically, he was the guy who was always there to no matter what happened, if I got in, really crazy trouble and everybody else was like, she did what? Why would she do that? My dad he was the guy that there was never any judgment. He'd be like, he's amazing. He was different in that way. He's not homophobic. He's not racist. He was so cool. He was like, come sleep on my floor. He'd give me his bed at any point. And I have to attribute that to his autism.
So Albert, unscripted question. What have your parents done for you?
Loved and supported me. Helped me out through all the years. My mom was a real big advocate for me. She supported my goal of being an actor, and she passed away a few years ago while I was in college. That was difficult. And since then, my father's try to be there for me as well. So just they're my parents.
Yeah, and the reason I asked that question today would have been my mom's 90th birthday, and
Oh,
she would have, first of all, she would have loved the show. Second of all, she would be going crazy right now watching this on the leaked YouTube link. But I just I wanted to throw that in there for her because happy birthday, Ma. But we are now going to transition to unscripted questions from the audience, Albert.
Jim-
So are you ready?
Jim, do we have time? Could you answer that question first?
Yeah, I mean, my father was the fiercest advocate, and he was an educator, and so he would always use me as like a party trick. Like he was a high school principal, so he was the principal of the high school in our district, but not the one I went to. There was two. So, but when he had poker nights, all my teachers would be coming to the house on Friday nights, and they would all like get drunk and party, and then he would always bring me downstairs and be like, "Okay, ask him anything about Abraham Lincoln," and just to see if the teachers could stump me, and so just as an example, no, I don't remember anything about Abraham Lincoln, Rick, before you ask, but he was always the person, totally my best friend. We counted on each other, until he died. When he died, I was so lost because I had to kind of recover from the fact that I didn't have anybody in my life that was being as much of an advocate. And my mom was a little bit stuck in her feeling guilty, thinking that it was something that she did or something like that. But then later, my mom started to, started to be my bud and accept me for how I am. So, but it was basically my dad when he died in 2000 or I'm sorry, not 2000. When he died in 1998, I was very lost for a long time. So, because I really needed that. So, it's good. Good to get that out. Thanks, Rick. I feel better. I feel cathartic. So,
Yeah, having an advocate, it's nice and it's hard to find. But if you're lucky enough that one or both of your parents could be one, then you have what you need.
and it's and the story that a lot of people heard is that when I got my offer at Google during COVID, I was able to video chat with my mom, and she was like so happy and excited because this is like her baby boy. Finally, he's going to find his place. Google's going to support him because I've been through some very heinous stuff in my life. And then when I talked to her on FaceTime, I was supposed to see her on Saturday morning. I was flying to Michigan, and she died on me on Friday night. And when she was passing away, she told my sisters, he's going to be okay. So I kind of became a little bit of a different person after that, because I kind of said I'm not going to sit idly by and let anybody be bullied, and so that was kind of what was a real catalyst to my contributions at Google and doing this work. So I don't want to make Sue Ann cry. That would be sad. So
You got man.
okay, shake it off. We're gonna go to.
It's like wow.
Thanks for sharing, Albert. Could you stand up for us, please, bud? Yeah.
And so we're going to go to audience question number 1 as queued up in the chat, which I'm going to start reading, and it should appear in they're really fast. So, what advice would you have for your younger selves?
Could you help guide us? Tell us who should speak.
Well, let's go with Sue Ann first.
Oh. Oh, Jesus. But I need to think about this. Otherwise, I'm just going to blabber something I don't really mean. Rick or Amber?
I could try.
Pass. Okay, Rick.
People may have heard this said in a different way, like you are who you're supposed to be, you are where you're supposed to be. But that sometimes on surface feels almost spiritual, and not everybody could adopt that. But actually taking that literally, as you are what you're supposed to be, like this is what you're supposed to be, this is what you're supposed to feel, and these are the chemicals that go through your body. Better understanding that, like you talked about the steps and how important acceptance is, and better understanding that this is who you are. because this is who you are. I mean, just logically, there's nothing else. This is what it is. And once you could accept that, it really helps get rid of the shame, the embarrassment, the tools that you need to find to hide. And the advice I'd give to my younger self is trying to have him accept who he is sooner. I'm grateful for who I am. I'm grateful for the obstacles that I had and the tools I developed to deal with that stuff. But accepting who you are is really the first and biggest step. And it's okay if you stutter. It's okay if you think a little different. It's okay if you're shy. You don't have to try and not be shy. Just be what it is, and you could be confident in that insecurity even.
And Sue-Ann, are you ready to take a crack at it?
Yeah, I mean it's amazing to hear like Rick say stuff like that, because I think that was the opposite message of what I received growing up, and it was damaging. You know, it was damaging to the core. You know, I'm a teenage suicide survivor, and that's actually something that a lot of women on the spectrum who mask, you know, had to overcome, because the message is a complete rejection of self. So and it's something that, you know, I've worked really hard at in my adult years to overcome, and this show has been a big part of it. It's huge in being able to engage with the world from a more authentic place, and at times it still feels really scary and dangerous, like I'm gonna be, you know, put in danger because I have been taken advantage of, or bad things have happened. And so yeah, I think what would I give to an advice? I love what Rick said about, well, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. You know, it was a journey, and there was a lot of ups and downs, but whatever's happening, there was always something to take me through to the next step. And it's only getting better. It's only gotten better. The best is yet to come.
And Albert, how about you? What if you had a time machine? You can go back and talk to tiny Albert.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Make sure to take chances, and you'll get through this shit.
Family show, Albert.
We'll
get through this bleep.
We'll replace it with poop, because it's more digestive humor. So now we're going to go on to question number 2.
Bleep it out.
It's a long question. So, but having a show like this, you know, showing autism awareness, how would that have changed you when you grew up? And how do you think it might have been able to change the lives of young people with autism today? I'm going to add the today.
It probably would have been beneficial. Like, there weren't many examples that I saw growing up, and some of them were like just badly done. Like I think my favorite growing up was Bones, and they technically never even said she was autistic. Just watching the show is like, oh yeah, she's definitely autistic. It would have been good. It would have been good to see this growing up. I can't really find myself thinking. It's hard to get into detail about that, trying to like parse through that, but just in general, it would have been helpful. Yeah,
I could speak on that question too. That, like Albert said, you know, the awareness of it was a little muted, possibly by design. But what's the difference? It's now that it's becoming more understood, more accepted, and a show like this to show that being autistic doesn't mean that you're an amazing Bones detective or a card counting genius or nonverbal and you can't touch his ears. I mean, everybody has their own things. and to better understand that it's wider than that. I think that a big benefit of that is more people being diagnosed. Becoming diagnosed offers you a rule book almost, if you choose to seek one out. And there's many different ones. I was joking plugs, but when I got diagnosed, I got this book right away. And I absolutely love Asperger's from the Inside Out. And it's from an author who was diagnosed as an adult because his son was diagnosed. And like you see like, oh, other people think this way. Other people are somewhat like this. It offers a community, sure, if you're fortunate enough to find one, but like you could read books and you could learn things that like, oh, this is what the typical person expects. I could either choose to adapt to that, or I could learn to communicate. Hey, I don't do it. I don't do golf claps. Like you could learn how to better communicate. So I think that by people seeing that autism is out there and it's whether you're diagnosed or not, could help people get a diagnosis or at least understand that they see themselves in these characters and could try and just learn some new tools that weren't so intuitive for them.
Yeah, if you don't talk about something, it doesn't mean it goes away. So that's part of why it's definitely important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sue-Ann, do you want to answer that question, or do you want to answer audience question number 3?
Whatever.
Sue-Ann's drained.
So let's go to audience question number 3 then. What are each of your dream roles?
Sue-Ann?
Oh my God.
Filming on Mars for Sue-Ann.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bene Gesserit in Dune. Have you guys seen Dune? I mean, Rick knows it. I love space. I know Tom Cruise is doing a movie in space, so any like sci-fi space thing that is something like, I'm surprised I have a Star Wars, all of that. I'm like, yeah.
You told me you want to be a Sith Lord or something.
I did. I would want to be a Sith Lord. I'd probably not be able, I'd probably be cast as a Jedi just because they don't want to, make it looking at the marketing of all that. But I would love to be a Sith Lord.
Jim had a good Sith joke before we started.
Yeah, it's we just celebrated, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you, and then that means that 2 days later is Revenge of the Sixth. So that is another holiday. So it depends on which side of the Force you're on, Sue-Ann. You can celebrate either or both. It's up to you.
Yeah.
So Rick, how about you? What would your dream role be?
I'm getting a little older, Jim, but it would have been to just do some basketball stuff. But just like any boy who grew up playing with Ninja Turtles, I just want to do some action. I want to do some fighting. I want to do some kicks, some flips, some flying.
Deadpool.
I don't think I have the body or the anything else for Wolverine, but I wouldn't mind if there was maybe, I don't know, just make me just something that gets me jacked. Just get me a trainer, get me strong. Let me do some kicks and punches. I can do the Flash. Shout out to Paul DeMeo, my uncle, who wrote my uncle wrote the Flash, the TV show.
No way.
Yeah, and the Rocketeer.
Oh yeah.
But those superheroes, they keep their shirts on. I want to get jacked. I want to show my body. Albert, you know what I'm talking about. Stand up.
Well, under all of this, there is a sexy ripped man. So just
let's see it.
Official record.
Jim, guys.
No, I have to get rid of like layers and layers of COVID fat first, like blubber. So,
but that's still
Albert, how about you? What would your dream role be?
There are a lot of different roles that I'd like to be able to do. Like, oh dear God in heaven, there's a phone ringing now.
Yeah, from 1940.
A dream role. You ever see the movie May?
May.
You ever see that?
Is that the horror movie May?
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen that.
I think it would be pretty interesting to try something like that, where it's just this emotionally fragile fragile character, it really explores who they are, and see their eventual descent into madness and chaos. Like that'd be very interesting to me. So I try.
Well, it is so good to spend this time with you. I wish we had all day. I could hang out all day, but is there any parting comments? Quick fire that before we all go.
I do have a
Sue-Ann or Rick.
Oh,
What do you?
I had a quick question that if we don't have time past it. You said that working for Google, what you do is you found a way to interview people and ask questions that are catered to them. And I was curious if you had like an example of something that you would ask somebody that is neurodiverse, that is a question that normally they wouldn't have received during that type of process, unless it's all custom, in which case, never mind.
It's pretty much all custom, but I basically try to take a panel. If I'm doing a panel, I will do this, run a panel just to make sure that I give everybody equal time to talk. And I do like a little pivot table in the other sheet that shows that, Albert and Rick and Sue-Ann all have the same allocated amount of time or the opportunity for time. So things like that. But it all just comes from this one I sourced from our autistics community, asking folks what kind of questions they want me to ask and other folks. So, but
Jim,
it is a process. So
can I just say, Jim, that you have been one of my favorite moderators because it has been so you've done a great, fantastic job.
Yeah, you were great, Jim.
Yeah.
Is it because I'm playing with this Rubik's Cube off camera? But
Same.
I am. I have a cube club called Thing About Hard Problems that's out there. So thingaboutHardProblems.com. And we basically teach.
Did you put that together real fast? Are you?
Well, I messed it up real fast too. It wasn't fully messed up.
Oh.
What's it called, Jim?
It's called thingaboutHardProblems.com, and we will actually go into corporations and have these Rubik's Cube, solving things to teach them the metaphor of why solving is important. So, and so I do fit my favorite fidget toy. Thanks, Emmanuel. You know who you are. So, and I also, whenever I'm going to a city, my wife will put out the hat of where I'm going. So if I'm traveling to New York, I have to wear my Yankees championship hat. It doesn't mean I'm a Yankees fan. It just means I don't want to be beat up on the subway. So that's
I have one more question. I know we're going over. I have to know. I was so interested. You teach people why solving problems are so important. Do you have like a stock answer of like the generic version of that?
No, because what we'll do is, we do a lot of these where we go in and we have another thing called that we kind of combine the solving problems and another thing called transform with kindness. But we basically go in and teach people psychological safety. And then, we kind of associate, we'll basically come up with a very complex problem, and then we'll use the Rubik's Cube to kind of show step by step how we can get to the answer. So we already know the answer when we go in. So we might be going into cure for psychological safety or better profits or, better winning season, whatever talk we're giving. So
Go Yankees.
So it's a setup, Rick. I come in knowing the answer. So it's
Well, thank you, Jim, for hosting us. This has been really nice. And Sue-Ann and I are going to go take a nap after crying.
My dog chewed through, literally, in this panel, chewed through our DVD player. That's the end.
Oh, well, DVDs are done, Sue-Ann. It's Google you're talking about.
That is very dangerous.
Aw.
Australian Shepherd.
My youngest tried to rip a wall socket off the wall. Like dogs get into anything.
Oh my god. Yeah, I gotta go. Oh my god.
Well, thank you all for watching out there in Google land, and thank you all for watching after the fact, because it's going to be out everywhere in a little while once we get through post and they argue with me about whether Rick's product endorsement stays or goes. So
Well, if it means anything to you, I am not invested in this company, nor am I being paid. I just get stomach aches. Not for not too long, because 10 minutes after the fact, it goes away. And even your burps are minty. I'm Marc Glassman from the Take Your Shoes Off podcast, and thank you for watching.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.